You can try if you wear it on your industry. I think it's a beauty. It doesn't look that way. The hotel where it is. Oh, yeah. Yeah. For the museum.
Okay. Good morning. Welcome back. So I hope your weekend went well. Today is day number 1 of 4 for our survey interviews in the class. Right. So on each of these days, we're going to have a set of interview partnerships that we'll be working through. The interview partnerships we'll be working through are in order today as Tanya and Angelin, right? So you'll have 2 interviews within the partnership. For example, one will interview the other and then we'll switch. Each of those will be in 6 to 8 minutes. I will give time signals for the 8-minute maximum, right? So 4 minutes remaining, 3, 2, 1. When you're at time, I'll let you know and also verbally communicate that you're at the 8 minutes and ask you to wrap your interview up. So we'll work through the partnerships today. After that, I'll have some feedback and points to return back to you about the interviews with today. And then if you are not giving an interview today, I'll ask for your attendance and I'll keep this up during class. Please pick 2 interviews and identify, first of all, what strategies were used by the interviewer, strategies used by the interviewee, and how you felt overall about the effectiveness of the interview. And then if you are doing an interview, you don't need to complete or turn that in for the day. Any questions about any of the formatting before we get started? Yeah.
When you say 2 interviews, are you referring to 2 individual people being interviewed or 2 groups?
So an interview, like between an interviewer and interviewee, that would count as 1. So you might pick, for instance, Tanya interviewing Angelin as one of your 2, then Angelin interviewing Tanya as your other. Good question. Any other questions before we get rolling? Awesome. So we have our first folks up for today. So Tanya and Angelin, whenever you're ready. I have the front table set up and I've got 2 chairs. You can arrange those chairs however you would like for the goals and organization of the interview that you're hoping to see.
Good morning. My name is Hannah. I'll be conducting your interview today. I'd like to first thank you so much for participating in this interview. And before we begin, I'll just reiterate, if you don't already know, this interview survey is about your time here at ERU, and this information is going to be shared with the president and administration so they can see the students' experiences. Are you comfortable with that? And do you have any questions for this slide?
Yes, I'm comfortable with that and I don't have any questions right now.
Awesome. And are you safe by writing up the interview?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. And then what's your name?
I'm Angela.
Nice to meet you. Where are you from?
I am from Hawaii.
Okay. And what's your current grade level?
I am a senior.
Have you been around for years?
Yes, I have.
Awesome. And what's your major?
I am a health and human performance major with a concentration in exercise science.
Okay, awesome. And like on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the easiest high, 10 being the most difficult workload ever, how would you rate it?
I'd say maybe like a 7. Yeah.
And then do you participate in sports or extracurricular activities?
I'm on the women's wrestling team here.
Okay. And how long have you been doing that?
I've been on the wrestling team here since my freshman year.
How highly would you recommend like others to join?
Well, that would kind of depend on like if you have wrestled before, I feel like, but the community that we formed is really welcoming, so I would recommend.
And then do you have a job here at campus?
I do.
Where is it?
I work in the student affairs office.
Have you been know for years as well?
I actually started working there my sophomore year.
Okay. And then about how many hours a week?
Right now, or at least for this term, I work about 9 hours a week.
And would you say having like this on-campus job has made it easier to balance work and sports and school instead of having an off?
I do think so because I'm able to like just walk over there right after my class or like right before my class. And they also work around my schedule, which is helpful when balancing things.
And then how did you thought would you like recommend Eastern Oregon University as a whole student?
Yes, I would. I really like this school.
And then why did you choose?
There's many things that like factored into me like wanting to choose this school. One is like the price and like scholarships and like as well as like where it is located on the mainland, like being from Hawaii. Oregon's like pretty close and like traveling is like not as expensive as other states. And I also have like family around this area that live pretty close, so it's nice being able to like see them sometimes.
Yeah, okay, that's good. So like the transition from Hawaii.
I would say like it was okay. One thing that was pretty hard was just the weather change, but other than that, the community here really made it like easy for me to transition.
Yeah, what was like the most difficult part of that overall?
Probably just like feeling comfortable and like stable without having my family, like trying to do things on my own.
And then I've been doing years since coming here.
I think so. Yeah, mainly because like I'm on the wrestling team, so I have those people to like lean on and things like that. And yeah, kind of just getting friends from like living in the dorms and like just taking in-person classes.
And then what's something that you think that really do that?
I think maybe like advertising like the resources that we have on campus, because I find that like not a lot of people realize like what there is on campus and they're like already paying for it. So I think like maybe advertising that and actually letting people know about the resources can be like done better.
What's one of your favorite memories from being on the wrestling team?
One of my favorite memories is when we were at nationals last year and our flight got canceled, so we were stuck in Minnesota for another day and night, and then the next day we got a flight to Arizona, and we spent the whole day like at my coach's parents' house and stuff like that. So that was really nice.
And then since you've been here for the past 4 years, you've been with the COVID years. So what was like the biggest struggle with that?
I think the biggest struggle throughout that was maybe like connecting with people as well as like professors, since we did have classes on Zoom. We couldn't really like talk to people in the class, ask them for help, and just like doing class on Zoom, like it's really hard for me to pay attention, especially if I'm like in my own room or in my bed, like I just drift off and do other things.
And were the staff and faculty here like able to help you through that at all?
Yes, they were really supportive, and like I was still able to like go to them for help and things like that. Yeah.
And have you used like any of that on campus library?
Yes, I have. I go to the library to like study and stuff because I find that I'm able to focus better in that type of environment. And I also use the Learning Center for like the tutoring and the printing. I actually printed out this paper there this morning.
Nice, awesome. And then how would you describe the environment here?
I would describe it as like really welcoming and supportive.
Awesome. And then before we wrap everything up, do you have any questions for me at all?
No, I do not.
That's about all the time we have for today. So I'd just like to again thank you for your time. We really appreciate it. And once again, this survey is in the president and administration here at Eastern Oregon University. So your input has been great. Hope you have a great rest of your senior year.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for starting our very first interview with class. So take a breath, and whenever you're ready, we'll switch.
Hi, my name is Angela, and I want to first start off by thanking you for your time and participating in this survey, interview survey. And the purpose of this interview is to provide EOU's president and administration with information on what it's like to be a student at EOU. Before we begin, do you have any questions for me? Okay, so what is your name and where are you from?
My name is Nathania Reed and I'm from Juneau, Alaska.
What year are you here?
I'm a freshman.
So as a freshman, have you decided your major?
Yeah, I'm majoring in communications.
Oh, okay. Do you live on campus or off campus?
Yeah, I live on campus over here.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you enjoy living in the dorm?
I'd say for freshman year, probably like an 8 or a 9, just because it's a really good way to meet people.
On a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being not at all and 10 being very likely, how likely would you recommend living in the dorms to a future EOU student?
Probably like, again, 9 or 10 for like freshmen, but then after that, I would probably.
Okay. Are you involved in any sports or clubs on campus?
Yeah, I'm in the Residence Hall Association.
Tell me more about your experience with this club.
Well, I'm the media manager and like the treasurer with one of my roommates, Victoria. And so it's pretty fun. We put on like events and then we also try to like do things to help improve the campus forms and everything. Like right now, I think we're going through the kitchens and trying to make them broken and add more appliances in.
Would you recommend this club to an incoming freshman?
Yeah, for sure. It's been pretty fun. It's a good way to meet people and your key card unlocks every dorm building, which is really sick.
Oh wow, that's nice. How did you hear about this club?
I saw it on like the little store tags. Yeah.
Do you have an on-campus job?
Yeah, I work for the outdoor adventure program, so I work over at the Rockwall.
How long have you been working there?
I've been working there since a little bit in the fall term.
Oh, okay. How did you apply for this job?
I applied through Handshakes, which is like an online website that has all the campus jobs on it. Which is easy.
On a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being very easy and 10 being extremely difficult, how would you rate the process of finding and applying for this job?
I'd say probably like a 3. You go on there, you look around, you find the place that you want to apply to, and then you can just put all your information and send it over.
What made the process easier or difficult?
Well, Handshake helped out a lot more because you told you the instructions, and then yeah, I think the most difficult part was just waiting for like an email back. Yeah.
As a freshman, have you experienced any difficulties creating your schedule?
Somewhat, yeah. When I go look at it, there's like a lot of stuff going on, so I was just very confused.
Were you able to find support or help when creating your schedule through your advisor?
Yeah, my advisor, she's really fun. Her name's Cynthia McCumber, and like when I go in there, she's like, "Oh, you should take these fun classes. They're cool." And then obviously, yeah.
What are some of the challenges you face as a student who's involved in a club and also works on campus?
Sometimes it's like a bit of a workload, but it's been not too bad. I mean, just my friends getting help and support.
So you mentioned your friends helping you through those situations. What are some of the things that they've helped you through?
Sometimes they like read my essays and like edit them, and if I get really stressed, they just give me chocolate or something.
What advice would you give to students facing similar challenges?
I'd say, again, go to your friends for help or your professors. They have the office hours and everything, which I've gone to a couple of those too.
You mentioned that you're from Alaska. What made you decide to come to UU?
Well, I kind of just wanted to go to Oregon, so I like applied to a bunch of random places in Oregon, and then I had Bowie at the school, and it was pretty cheap, so I just picked it.
Did you find the transition from Alaska to UU difficult?
It wasn't too bad. I had never traveled by myself before though, and I could only bring like 3 bags down, so that was, but yeah.
Coming from Alaska, what helped you to gain connections with people here? The wow, we could welcome here for all the freshmen was a really nice way to meet with a bunch of people.
What was the best part of wow?
Mm, Well, we did like a challenge one time and my group killed it and then we won. And I did the best at like creating the cupcakes.
Do you use the services provided by the Learning Center?
Not really. No, I mainly just go to the library.
What has deterred you from going to the Learning Center?
I just don't, like I've gone with my friends and stuff before that and they've always helped me, so I've never felt the need to go to learn.
Okay. How would you describe the campus community at UU?
I think it's really friendly and open, like you basically know everyone and when you walk in classes, you're like people on you can make friends. Yeah, everyone's really nice.
What is something that could be improved about UU?
Oh, well, the security here needs like a little improvement. There's been a lot of like walk-ins or break-ins and thefts and stuff. So, yeah.
So that about concludes this interview. Is there anything else you would like to mention before we finish?
No,
Do you have any questions for me?
no, ma'am.
Well, thank you for your time and your willingness to participate in this survey interview. I would like to remind you that your answers will be shared with UU's president and administration, which will help them to get to know more about being a student at UU. Thank you, and I hope you have a wonderful day.
Thank you.
Thank you both for being our brave volunteers to start the interview presentation in class. I really appreciated the group here. So we'll continue to go through partnerships. And after that, I'll share a general comments. So our next partnership is Kendall and Kai. So whenever you two are ready, we'll go next.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Kendall Bonzani. Thank you for taking the time to participate in this interview. The purpose of this interview is to get to know a bit about you as a student at Eastern Oregon University and collect information on your experience as a student here. The administration of Eastern Oregon University will be using this to just get to know what it's like to be a student. Do you have any questions before we begin? Alrighty. So to start, are you currently a full-time student at UU?
Yes, I am.
In the past 2 terms, have you been primarily in person or online?
I would say a mixture of in-person and online classes, but I would say the majority of in-person. I think I learn better with in-person classes.
So would you say you prefer in-person classes? What is your major?
My major is business administration with a minor in communication.
Did you ever switch major?
I did. My first major was exercise science, and then after my freshman year, I decided to switch to business administration.
What would you say most influenced that switch?
I think the years of schooling that had to do with the occupation I wanted to pursue. I wanted to be a physical therapist, and I found out I could be at those school for 8 years. So I decided to switch to business administration.
That's understandable. Do you currently identify as a student athlete?
I do not currently.
So would you say you're currently leaning for or against graduate school after you?
I'm leaning against graduate school. I kind of had my school paid for the 4 years, so I think I'm just going to get my degree and call it good.
On a scale from 1 to 10, how much do you enjoy being a student at UU? 10 being a lot and 1 being nothing.
I would say like an 8. I've had a really good experience here being a student.
On a scale from 1 to 10, with 1 being not at all likely and 10 being very likely, how likely would you be to recommend Eastern Oregon University?
That's a difficult question because I would say I know particular people that would thrive in this type of community, in this type of environment. But overall, I would probably say a strong 7.
How do you personally feel about the environment?
I personally really like it. I think I thrive in this type of environment, but looking at the broad spectrum of other people, I don't think everyone else would do as well in this environment. But personally, I would say
What characteristics would you say you have that helps you thrive in this environment versus other people?
I think growing up in a small town has really helped me out and understanding what it's like to move to another small town and kind of not much of a culture shock as it would be if I went to a bigger city or a bigger university with a lot more people in my classes.
Is there a building on campus that you utilize?
I would say the library. I would go there for studying and getting assignments done. So
Do you say you study best in the library versus at home?
yes, because I think there's a lot more distractions in my house. So if I really want to get my work done, library is the best source to utilize.
Why did you choose to attend here?
There's a bunch of factors. I originally came here to wrestle in college, and I was offered a scholarship. And then due to many injuries, I had to leave that, and I continued to want to finish my degree, and didn't want to really transfer to another university and deal with a lot of the transferring credits. So, and also being from Keene, Idaho, it's only a 2.5-hour drive. So that was also a big perk away from home, but also close enough that I need to come.
Did you feel supported by the athletics department in this decision to quit wrestling and focus on your studies?
Not necessarily. It is always a difficult thing to leave a chapter of your life, but the progression of that going from student athlete to a regular student, it was difficult, but yeah, I wouldn't necessarily say it was most supportive, but understandable.
Do you currently participate in any extracurricular social activities?
I did a ski snowboard club for a little bit, so that's the only activity I would possibly.
Do you, just to restate, do you feel that you thrive in this environment?
Yes.
Based on your experience as student leader, what do you think is lacking from?
I think more events hosted by UU. I think that would be a lot more involvement because they do, like, certain organizations do host certain events, but I think getting more participation with other students around here would really improve the social part of UU. So I think that's the biggest part. I think we missing out on that much about events.
Is there an event you would recommend?
I think I would say some kind of like a dodgeball tournament or something, maybe something active like that, I would say.
How do you like to spend your weekends with people?
I like to be outside a lot of the time. I like to go on hikes, try to, now the weather's getting better, I like to go out fishing, but just try to, I have a dog named Dixie, so I try to like take her on a lot of walks and I try to play fetch with her as much as possible. So I think just taking advantage of the rural aspect of it and the nature aspect of UU is what I like to do on my weekends.
So we're wrapping up the interview. As we're running low on time, I would like to thank you for the time you took to participate in this interview. It was very helpful both in to know you as an individual and also your experiences as a student here. Once again, this will be shared with Eastern Oregon University faculty and the head of student interactions. Are there any questions you have? Thank you.
Thanks, Brad, for drinking water, and whenever you're ready, we will.
Hello, my name is Kai Moyer, and before we start this interview, I just want to thank you, Kendall, for taking your time out to do this interview with me. The purpose of this interview is to understand your experiences here at Eastern Oregon, provide information to the UU president, and administration to understand what it's like to be a current UU student. Are there any questions there for me before we start?
Is this interview?
Yes, yes, it is. To get started, could you give a brief description of where you're from?
I'm from Pendleton, Oregon, it's about 45 minutes away. It's a relatively small rural town.
Mhm. And what is your major in mind?
I'm currently majoring in health and human performance with a concentration in exercise science and a pre-PT pathway.
And how many years have you attended UAU?
This will be my second.
Are you part of any sports teams or extracurricular organizations?
I am on the cross country.
And if you would, why did you choose this morning?
I chose it as kind of a last minute decision, but it just seemed to be the most logical at the moment, relatively close to home. For quick weekend trips back and easy travel for holidays. And I wanted a nice transition out of high school to college.
So with the knowledge you have now, and you would start your college career back over, you still choose Eastern Oregon?
Yes, I will.
Okay, why is that?
I've had a very, very good experience here. The exercise science program is excellent, and I've enjoyed a lot of professors and having close professional relationships.
So looking at your educational experience, your overall perspective of it, how well do you think the professors teach here at UAU?
Well, I can't speak for every major, but within the health and human performance major, I feel like the professors really care on a deeper level and want you to excel. And it's created a relationship where you're not afraid to reach out and you feel like they know you as an individual and your goals, what you want to accomplish within their classes, but also within your future career.
How do you describe the availability and the communication you've had with the professors here?
Within my experience, I would say they've been very available. I've not truly struggled to have access to my professors.
On a scale of 1 to 10, being 1 very poor and 10 being excellent, how would you rate the content of the material taught in your courses?
I feel like I always walk away with very in-depth knowledge. So I would rate it as a 1.
And looking at the aspects of the learning environment, how safe do you feel on being on campus?
I feel very safe because it is smaller. I feel like it doesn't take very long to get from building to building and really running into people that I know. So walking around is a very good experience and I feel safe.
And then, are you satisfied with the diversity and the quantity of the extracurricular activities offered here at UAU?
I currently am. I do believe that there could be some perhaps more diverse extracurricular activities that create a little bit newer experiences for people, especially from rural areas. But currently I'm satisfied.
Do you feel like you've developed meaningful relationships with the students here at UAU?
I do. I believe that in every class I walk away with a deeper connection to my peers. And there's always professors make a good room for interaction.
On a scale of 1 to 10, so 1 being poor, 10 being excellent, how would you rate the sports and recreation facilities here at UAU?
Well, with the addition of the new field house, I would rate it probably as high as a 10, if not a little bit lower than 9. I'm, especially as an athlete, very happy with the advancements we've made.
So looking at the facilities aspects of UAU, how well maintained are the facilities here at UAU? Like Hope and Pierce Library, like all the facilities that are utilized here at UAU, how would you well maintained?
I believe they're very well maintained. I've talked to a lot of the people who help maintain these buildings, as well as the students who get to have the opportunity to have jobs as maintenance at UAU. So I've always been very happy.
How satisfied, did you live in the dorms your freshman year? How satisfied were you with the dormitory facilities?
I was very satisfied. I believe our freshman experience at UU is unlike others with the individual suites and RAs who are very understanding, but a little more hands-off and allowing you to be more independent while still instruction.
What were your thoughts about the quality of food served at home?
I'm not a very picky eater, so I was relatively satisfied. I believe that there could be more variety, especially as an athlete. I'm always trying to get in optimal nutrition. And there were times where that lacked, but it was relatively rare.
And how easy is it to get resources from Pierce Library?
I believe it's very easy. I've never struggled with getting internal library books or access to study rooms or computers. So,
Well, thank you, Kendall, for sitting down with me and discussing your experiences as a student here at UU University. This information will help the UU president and administration understand what it's like to be currently attending UU and understand what areas need to be improved. Do you have any questions for me? Or thank you so much.
thank you.
Thank you both. Our final partnership of the day is Jill and John.
Hi, my name is Jill Morris, and I'd like to thank you for participating in this survey. The information we give will go to the president of the school to get a wide picture of student experiences at UU. Before we start, do you have any questions?
No.
Are you okay with your information being shared with the president and conference?
Yes.
Awesome. So I'd like to begin by asking you where you're from.
I'm from Meridian, Idaho.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Is there a reason that you chose to go to school at UU?
I chose to go to school at UU because of the track and field program, and the coach seemed interested in me, so I thought UU would be a good fit.
Awesome. Are you here on an athletic scholarship?
Yes, I have $500 for track and then $1,500 for cross.
What is your major and minor?
My major is business administration and my minor is communications.
What are your goals for after graduation?
After graduation, I hope to go into an accounting business firm like my mom and hope to get an internship there and then later on go into an accounting firm.
Do you feel like UU is helping you and work towards your overall career goals?
Yes, I believe they have the classes that are available to me to best give me the learning abilities that I need for accounting and for the job that I want.
Do you feel like your business administration program specifically is helping you work towards these goals?
Yes, they have a very good business administration program and good professors as well.
What is your favorite thing about going to school?
I think going to school, my favorite thing is the relationships that I built there. And I think it's cool how like the sports programs, they can all come together and they all have something in common with each other. So I think that's my favorite part.
Do you think, is there a specific place where you've made those relationships?
Yeah, definitely on the track team for sure, because that's the sport that I do, but then other sports as well. So
Do you think other student athletes are supportive of both your sports goals and your academic goals?
yes, I do. I believe.
What do you think has been the most valuable part of your experience?
I think the most valuable part is the information that I've gained from the classes that I've taken at UU, and
Other than sports, do you participate in any other on-campus activities?
just the track and field program and the cross country.
Have you ever considered joining in clubs or participating in other activities?
Yeah, I considered joining the ski team when they were going up to Canada. I thought that would be cool, but I didn't end up doing it.
Is there a reason why you didn't end up doing it? Oh. How do you, on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being very not satisfied and 10 being very satisfied, how do you feel about your overall experience at UU?
I'd say it's on the upper side. I'd say it's about like a 9 or an 8 because of the things that they've been able to give to me. So I'd say it's on the upper side, not the lower side.
Would you elaborate on what exactly makes you the most satisfied about your experience?
The professors, I think they did a really good job of teaching me in class. And then, the students around me, I think they made me better in class as well. To focus on what I need to. So that's, I
What do
think
your,
the experience.
what do your professors do to support you as a student?
Well, they make sure that I'm always working and I'm always on the task at hand. And they make sure that I'm actually learning what they're teaching. They're not just lecturing and then moving on to the next step.
Is there any place outside of your professors that you get academic support?
Not fully, I'd say from maybe other students that help me with the information, like some people in my classes, like they'll help me. But other than that, no.
Have you ever thought about utilizing the outside academic supports such as the Learning Center and the library?
Yes, I go to the library probably twice a week just to work on homework. It's just to get away from home and I'm more concentrated on it when I'm at the library.
Have you ever spoken to the librarians or gotten help from anyone at the library specifically?
Yes, yeah. When using the computer, like the printer to print off something or something like that, I asked the librarians.
Have you ever been to the Learning Center?
No, I have not been to the library.
Is there a reason why you haven't been?
I feel like the library has done its job in letting me learn there, so I feel like I don't have to go.
That's awesome. What year are you?
I am a junior.
Did you live in the dorms when you were a freshman?
Yes, I did.
Did you like living there?
Honestly, no, because of the COVID situation. So living in the dorms was kind of tough because you had to have your mask on all the time, and I wasn't very good at that. So,
That must have been hard.
yeah, the experience there wasn't the greatest, but yeah, definitely good.
After you wrap up, is there anything about you that you wish was different or would like to see change?
Maybe more events or stuff like that to get people out of the dorms and make more relationships like that. But other than that,
All right. Is there anything else you'd like to add about your specific experience at UAU?
no.
Okay. Well, thank you for your time and thank you for giving us valuable insights into life at UAU.
Right, thank you both. And for our final interview of the day, just have you swap and whenever you're ready.
Okay. Hi, Jill. My name is Johnny, and I want to thank you for taking this interview. And so the purpose of this interview is to give information to the president and the school administration to get a wide picture of the student experience at UAU. So before we start this interview, do you have any questions for me? Okay. All right. So start. Where are you from?
I'm from here, so
Oh, from LeGrand?
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. And what are you currently majoring?
my major is psychology with a music minor.
Okay. And do you live on or off campus?
I live off campus, but I work and spend most of my time on.
Okay. Gotcha. And since you're from here, do you live just where you lived before? Okay. Okay. Awesome. And why did you choose to go to school at UConn?
I think that it was a very easy transition, obviously, because I've lived here for a long time and have a very strong support system here, as well as I'm here on multiple academic scholarships and a music scholarship. So it made the most sense to go.
Nice. All right. So, do you participate in any sports at UConn?
No,
Okay. And then do you participate in any other extracurricular activities then on campus?
yes, so I'm heavily involved in the vocal studio, the jazz band, and the choir of the music program. And I'm also part of a psychology research team and doing independent research internships in psychology.
Okay. What would you say is your favorite thing about Eastern Oregon?
I think that ECU has very good opportunities to make your academic life your own. So because of the small student to faculty ratio, it's really easy to get involved with not only like allowing yourself to have more opportunities, but working closely with your advisors and
faculty to work on projects that you might not get anywhere else.
And then on a scale from 1 to 10, with 1 being very unsatisfied and 10 being very satisfied, how good of a job did EOU do at providing a good learning experience?
I think like an 8 or 9. Honestly, the faculty are very useful and they have multiple places on campus where you can get good academic help, such as the Learning Center and the library. The tutors are amazing and the Writing Center is really, really helpful.
Nice. Do you go to the Writing Center often?
Yeah.
And then what do you think has been the most valuable part of your experience at EOU?
I definitely think just the faculty being very kind and like easy to talk to. And because you get to work so close with them, you get to have an actual relationship with them and you get to talk on one-on-one and really get to know them. And that relationship is vital for academic success.
I agree. And then do you believe EOU is assisting you in achieving your long-term professional objectives?
Yeah, because the school is small, you can get opportunities here. Like, I don't think that you could do so much research at a bigger school because it's more competitive. But here you can prepare yourself for grad school or your career by getting involved with specific opportunities for the major.
And so then leading on to that, what are your plans after graduating from EOU?
So I'm going to be applying to a clinical psychology doctoral program.
And then is there anything about EOU that you wish was different or would like to see changed?
I think my biggest thing is that there's not concentrations in each major. And so some majors have concentrations, but the psych majors don't have concentrations, whereas it would be nice if we could concentrate on clinical psychology versus experimental, or even within music, there's not concentrations. So I kind of wish we could concentrate in vocal performance, musical performance, or composition.
And then, so how long have you been attending EOU so far?
This is my second year.
Okay, so you're a sophomore.
I'm a junior.
Junior. Okay, awesome. And then what has been your favorite class in college so far while attending EOU?
That is really, really hard to answer. There's so many classes that I really love. I took a class on abnormal psychology, which I felt like was really fun. The professor was awesome and it helped me work towards my career goals.
Awesome. And then do you work better in a group or individually?
I would say there's places for both of them, and that's kind of my answer is like I like working individually when it makes sense to work individually. I like working in a group when it makes sense to work in a group.
And then do you thrive in the environment here at EOU?
I think so. It's a small rural place where you can make lots of friends and it's easy to get opportunities.
Sure. And then going back to the library or the Writing Center, how often do you say that you go to those places?
I don't go to the library super often, but I do use the library website quite often to look for research articles on things. And then I use the Learning Center to print anything that I need to print. So once or twice a week.
And then how would you say your professors help you in your learning ability here at EOU?
I think that they can give you a lot of one-on-one support, and because the class sizes are small, they can give you lots of feedback. Like you can send them drafts and they'll send you feedback back, or they'll give you assignments with really detailed feedback because they don't have so many papers to grade, you know? And then all of the teachers here respond to their emails super quickly. So if you have any questions or you talk to them in class, it's really easy to get a quick answer.
All right, well, to wrap it all up, thank you for taking the time to do this interview. And do you have any other questions or comments to make on your time spent here?
No, I don't think so.
Awesome. Well, then, thank you. And I want to remind you that this information is going to the president and the administration, and that giving them this information will make you better. Thank you.
Ernie and Jill, thank you both for wrapping things up. So I want to give just a few general comments and things that I noticed in the partnership, especially since this is our very first round of interviews, first opportunity in doing this. I really want to, shout out and appreciate the work that our first folks gave in doing that. We'll have a lot of interviews in this class, and so getting us started and getting the ball rolling and setting really high bar, I really appreciate it. It's both really useful for us as you're giving an interview, to understand what that process is like and to participate. Since, you might be getting surveys professionally, will be doing job interviews later in the term, having that experience is really useful. I think for the purposes of this class, getting to see so many different interviews, see how questions are being used and answered, and get perspective on what that looks like. The more interviews we get to see, the better we get at it. So even as an observer, there's a lot we've learned through that process. So I appreciated your engagement, your thoughts, your reflections on kind of observing these interviews. So some general things that I noticed that I thought were really effective in these interviews. One thing that I think across the board people did really well was kind of framing both the beginning and ends of the interview, right? Making it really clear to the interviewee what the purpose, the goal of the interview is. That way, people understand why they're there, how their information is being used. I also appreciated how a lot of the interviews were closing, kind of opening up the chance for people to offer any additional questions or insights that they had to the interviewer, and also really good kind of using being in that 6 to 8 minute range, probably doing some jumping or moving around in the number of questions that you ask relative to what you might have prepared. And that's okay, right? Especially if you see a thread or idea you really want to explore further, or a question that kind of already addresses a question you're going to ask. The ability to kind of adjust based on the responses that you give is a skill that we'll continue to talk about and work on. So starting with Tanya and Evelyn, I thought you both did a great job here using not only the framing, but also kind of engaging with specific experience. For example, Tanya, I really like the line of questioning you posed, talking about Angela's experience with COVID years, right? Like that was a really good way to talk about a specific experience that Angela encountered and really be able to kind of explore that line of questioning. And Angela, I really liked how you talked a little bit about the Learning Center and you were asking questions about why that might or might not be used, which is really good. One thing to kind of think about across the board is whenever you're asking questions with a scale, right, there were a few responses where sometimes somebody would say, oh, I would give it like an 8 or a 9. Sometimes, company or group you're working for is going to want that to be concrete. So one thing you might try to do is just to clarify, like, okay, would you say you're more of an 8 or more of a 9? That way you can just get it as a solid number, which sometimes people will want. I liked, there were a couple of scale questions, and I think I liked that there was a catch. Like the first time it wasn't really explained what 1 or 10 is, but then that was caught later and addressed, like, oh, 1 being not good and great. Oftentimes we rank on that way with 1 being low, 10 being high, but it is good for us to make sure that's clarified on both ends of the interview. So I appreciated your engagement, your kind of thoughtful work here. Kendall and Kai, I really appreciated, for instance, Kendall, your use of leading questions. Are you leading for or against grad school? That's a great way to get a concrete answer there. I also liked the clarification on some of the scale questions. And I liked how there was a sort of this line of questioning about events and extracurriculars on both ends. You might kind of explore, well, what kinds of events or activities would you like to see happen on campus? Because that is a really cool way to develop additional insights. I also really liked some of the ways that, the question was asked about anonymity, which is an important question here about how that data and information is being used. Talking a little bit about the quantity of extracurriculars and, the opportunities available. I feel like on both ends, there's an opportunity to explore these follow-ups just a little bit more into some of those topics and issues. But I thought on both ends, there were good responses, good explanation of the overall experience. And then Jill and Johnny, I appreciated how both of you were utilizing the feedback. For example, Jill was questioning Johnny about how Johnny came to you, saying, hey, that's awesome that you came on scholarship. Like that, use of verbal and nonverbal response is good. I also appreciated how on both ends, the responses to the interview questions were really substantive. They engaged really well with one another. And I also liked the use of follow-up questions to help frame, a greater understanding of each other. So really good kind of explanation of the experiences that both people were having at ULU, I also appreciated how you all used framing phrases such as we wrap up to help to kind of address and tie up in loose ends. And continuing to show that sort of engagement and follow up, perhaps kind of pursuing lines of questioning even further in a couple areas where you're seeing that there's something interesting that's bringing to the table is something to think about. But I thought overall, both of those interviews were really structured and organized. So thank you all for your engagement here today. I really appreciated hearing from you all in your interviews. I think you have a great example you set for us in class. So I'll ask if you did not do an interview today to either email or pass to me your attendance activity for the day. Have a great rest of your morning, and we'll hear from our next round of interviews on Wednesday.
I got that. Got it. I literally guessed
I was like, oh.
the second one. I got the first one green and the last one. Really? What was your guess?
Yeah.
What was your guess? I can't say.
I think it's.
I use the same for the guess. No one used double letters. How'd you get that? Why'd you put puppy? Well, I'm gonna tell him he's way off track. I'll show you right now. Whoa.